Here I am. It's Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am DJ Strick, and you are here in the Streamers Hub. And I am not by myself today. I really want to jump right into the show. But before I do that, of course, I have a couple of things that I need to talk about. So I want to bring some things up for you to be able to see. Of course, if you're anybody that's trying to make money online and you're not doing affiliate marketing, what are you doing? It's a great way to earn money online as a marketer. And OneStream Live has a great program that will pay you 55% commission. That is a real big deal. A lot of companies have this, but not this type of money. You don't even have to be a customer. All you have to do is sign up for the affiliate program and you can be a marketer with this. So if people actually click onto your link, guess what? They click on your link and actually buy a subscription, then you get paid. It's really that simple. Okay, so I also have here 25% recurring commissions. So people may be doing this over and over again, monthly, yearly. Guess what? You get 25% recurring commission if they do. I have a lot of people that watch this show every week. And they're like, man, Strick, I love what you're doing. You're so good at this. I would love to stream with you. Come on. What are you waiting for? We have the Streamer Partnership Program that you could be a part of. All you need to do is send one of your social media platforms, your profile, one that you have the most followers, the most friends, whatever that is, to content@onestream.live. Again, you can send it to content@onestream.live and you can be a part of the Streamers Partnership Program and stream like me. I also have something I want to tell you about, which is right now there is a Udemy course that Stephen Henley has done that is actually teaching you how to use OneStream Live. So all you have to do is go over to Udemy and sign up and find the one that talks about OneStream Live, take the course, and learn how to use this great software. It is really that cool. So that being said, I think I have everybody in right now. If you're watching this, even in a replay, please just tell me where you watched this from. And if you hear something tonight that really, something that you like, hit the like button. Let us know that you were engaged by this content and it really did help you. So I'm going to bring them all on. Here's my guy, Joe. Here's Erica. I got Harry here, and then here's Matt. Let's see if we can do it this way.
Hey.
Man, I think this is the best one. There's several different forms we could use. There we go. Hey guys, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you
Happy
too,
New
sir.
Year, guys. Great to see you all.
Yes, Happy New Year.
I am
This
so
is
glad to be together again.
Yeah, man, this is great. This is our first show for the new year, 2024.
Heck yeah.
So out of all of us, Joe, I think you've probably seen more years than most of us. What's your expectation, man? What are you thinking about for the new year?
Joe's old.
Yeah, well,
he's not old. He's just older.
Older, yeah. To hit the big 6-0 at the end of February. So that'll be good. I mean, you're right. People like me have got more yesterdays and tomorrows, but we're still here. We're still fighting. On a serious point, obviously the new livestreamsolutions.org and the ACAD Livestream Academy go live on the 1st of Feb. So we are pretty stoked for for 2024 and be able to, help organizations and businesses build thriving communities. That is what CEOs, that's what marketing directors are now looking for, to help them build thriving communities. And that's what we're going to do.
That's awesome, Joe. And you have a great setup over there. I like where you are today. You picked a great place to kind of do your stream from.
Yeah, look, it's good. It just makes me feel like it makes me feel that it's hard to explain. We tell people that they don't need to anymore. They do not need to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of wasted money going into huge studios with staff and lighting and things, because OneStream Live provide the capabilities to be able to, for us to be able to promote live streaming as a service, and with some simple backdrops. It's just, it's just professionalizing everything that you're doing. And, listen, we are scratching the scratch of the
Right.
surface with the likes of what OneStream Live are doing at the moment.
That's right. That's right, man. So again, Joe, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We got some great stuff to talk about. I'm excited about the show, but I have Harry Big Dog here hanging out with us. Dude, I just love the hair. Don't grow up. It is definitely a cut, brother. You're really late on giving me that tip because if I go back to
Me too.
my parents' crib and just get a bedroom for free and they're gonna feed me, and I have to pay any bills, brother, I would
No
sign up for
bills,
that.
no nothing.
I have my wife and kids. We'll all be in one room.
With wireless from somebody else's house.
Right, right. Hey, man, how are you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year's to you. The word for this year
Give it to us.
is right beside me. Realize how good you are.
Wow, I like that. I like that. To
Carry this
everybody,
for the
take
rest
that in.
of the year.
Soak that in. I love that. Man, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to have a great conversation about live streaming and the ethics behind it. So don't
Yes.
go anywhere. Be thinking about all the stuff you do and how the ethics behind it makes a big difference. So let's go to my girl, Erica. Erica,
Hello.
I should
Erica.
call you like the brains of the operations around here. Erica's she's just a genius, y'all. She's just a genius. And
She's
I
the
love
mastermind.
having
you.
you on the show and being around. Listen, when I have questions, Erica's one of the people I go to. Hey, help me with this.
I appreciate that because I get a lot from you too. I get a lot from all of you. It's nice being around people who know what they're doing and are willing to share their information with you. That is so nice.
I only know what I'm doing on Tuesdays. Today is
You know,
Monday.
I've seen you on Sundays. I've seen you on Mondays. I just believe that you know what you're doing.
Listen, I also believe if you just keep showing up, people will believe it. Just keep showing up.
Exactly.
Just keep showing up and something will happen. Well, Happy New Year to you. I know you're celebrating at the house too. So thank you for coming onto the show.
Yeah,
You missed
hanging
all
out.
of the celebration. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good to
It's
see
my
you.
husband's birthday. We're having a good time today.
That's awesome. That's
Happy
awesome.
birthday.
Yeah, I know, right? I will sing it for him before we leave. Okay.
Yeah. Off
I'll
mute.
let him know.
Yeah, my man Matt, how are you doing, sir?
I am
Matt.
good. I am good. It's been a while. I think
Are you
I
at the
missed
house
the
now?
last
I know you've been
Wait,
traveling
you
a
look
lot.
like you're home.
I am home. Yep,
Wow.
I am home. Finally. Although I don't know if you guys I've got the background really, really dark because there's a hole in my ceiling right around this area.
What's going on?
I don't know. We have a drop ceiling in the basement. And, over the weekend, it kind of just fell.
It dropped. Huh?
It dropped.
Yeah, so the drop ceiling legitimately dropped out of nowhere. So I'm guessing one of the animals, one of the cats or something, got up in there, or maybe another critter that is yet to be found. But in any case, that's something that's got to be worked on. So I'm back at home, and I'm glad to be back at home. But with being at home, you've got the honeydews and all the stuff that comes along with owning a home. So
How's the weather where you are?
so we did we had a nice little freeze out last week and the end of the week prior. So snow, ice, good time. But you know what? I grew up in Colorado, and even though we're in Kentucky now, I love snow. My
Gotcha.
wife, not so much, but I love snow. I'm not afraid to drive in it. I'm not afraid of it. So I enjoy the scenery that it creates.
I get it.
Yeah.
So I'm in Alabama, so we don't get much snow down here, but it does get really, really cold for no reason. It's really cold right now. So thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to be talking about the live streaming ethics, navigating the digital landscape. And what I really want to do is to help people that have this question. The ethics behind what we do. We're seeing so many people right now on whether it's TikTok or Instagram, where they're basically taking other people's content, putting themselves in front of them and pointing like this and using other people's content like it's theirs. And it's okay. We have been through the people using music that is not their music.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. I think YouTube has kind of made some changes in what it does so that you can still use it, just not get monetized. I think Facebook would just automatically take you down. As far as intellectual properties, like if once you put it up online, it is no longer yours. Like it is owned by the social media platforms that you put it on.
Yep.
So if you're sharing ideas or concepts that's supposed to be yours, I promise you, my whole niche, like when I explain niche or how to find your niche, that's not me. I got that from Chris Doe that got that from somebody else that he got it from somebody else. It's a great way to explain it, but again, it's not any type of intellectual property. So let me dive into this. This is the question I want to start with, and whoever wants to be first, I guess our ladies will be first from this one. So I'll let Erica go first to answer this question. When it comes down to the importance of ethics in your live stream, how impactful is that to your own personal brand?
Don't take without asking. Taking without asking is stealing. If you must, how Christelle says, ethically take something, do it from a lot of people. And
Do it from a lot of people.
yeah, do it from a lot of people and package that together. In the graphic design world, if you take from many, you have to have at least a 75% change. So
If you take
to
from
say it's
many,
yours.
to say it's yours, you have to change 75% of it.
That's right.
And that's in the graphics world.
Yeah. So I use that everywhere though.
Okay. So you use that methodology even in coming up with ideas or presentations and all of that?
Yeah. So let's say last year you did a talk on things to do for live streaming about Christmas. I ran with your idea about Christmas movies and playing a game with it. I asked you first. I told you what I wanted to do, and then I did it.
Hey, Erica, I don't remember that at all. That is completely not authorized. I don't remember. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You stole
good
it.
thing for me, it was written in Matters most. So
Okay.
Intellectual property.
Hey, there's a real live transcript to that conversation. I get it. No worries. That is pretty cool that you would be so thoughtful. Everybody is not thoughtful in this case when it comes to taking something, because if I share an idea that sparks another idea to you that you can use, I don't think that you will be liable from getting inspiration from somebody. Isn't that different, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew you gave out the information freely, but I wanted people to know you get great ideas from watching DJ Strick. This is what I got from watching DJ Strick.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again? And I'll make sure I'm recording next
little
time.
louder.
Yeah,
Say it louder for the people in the back.
exactly.
It's true. I mean, I get great ideas from all of you guys, and you guys freely share your ideas, your information generously with all of us. So if we can't use it, why can't I shout you out? Like Christo says, if I could give you 10% of the ideas that make money, people should do that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Let me stop here and just throw this up. Bad Axe is saying hello to everybody. Hope you're having a great night. Hope you are having a great night, and thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I'm just glad that I learned how to put up banners and take them down. You know what I'm saying? I've learned it here. Anybody else want to chime in on that, on ethics when it comes to taking ideas? You know, Erica has this concept of 75% must be new. Anybody else has a thought or something that they use when they're posting content?
I think the generally accepted practice, at least as far as I'm aware, is basically attribution, right? So if you're going to use something of somebody else's and you're not going to change any of the formatting or any of the scripting or the wording or any of that kind of stuff, and you're, the YouTube videos that you're talking about where it's basically somebody in the corner reacting to another video that's overlaying, over
Right.
their shoulder or whatever. The biggest thing is attribution, right? So if you're gonna do that and you're gonna steal somebody else's content in one of these live stream platforms or one of these, video platforms like YouTube or Twitch or any of the other ones, you need to make sure that you're sharing the information of the original source,
Right.
and that original source is given credit for the original video.
I like that, man.
That's the key. And I know that, Erica kind of said about, if I'm going to use your stuff, I'm going to shout you out. Well, it's the same concept. It's just making sure that there's a pathway for people to find that. It's not just saying, oh yeah, I got this from Erica, but then in the description of the video, I actually share the link of the video or the content that I got and essentially stole from Erica. I heard a quote long time ago back in college where the greatest artists are not true artists. They're excellent thieves.
Yeah,
So
I heard that.
Uh-huh.
It's like no art is ever completely, truly original. It's all based on inspiration from somewhere, whether that's
Right.
nature or another human being or somebody else's artwork or whatever the case may be. So there's also that school of thought. But anyways, that's kind of my
No,
take
that's
on it.
that's really good. And Harry, I'll ask you to chime in on this too. My wife is a musical artist, and
Yeah.
I mean, we get inspiration. She gets inspiration from music all the time. One of the things that I tell her is, okay, in your genre or period across the landscape, if you look at all of the number one songs over the years, they're going to have different categories they go into, but they have something that all of them sound alike a little bit. And that really could be inspiring to someone. If you want to have a number one song, you need to build it like this,
Yes.
which is taking inspiration. Sometimes that's taking a bass line. Sometimes that's taking a drum section and using it in your song. And altogether, people just remix songs. Of course, when you do that nowadays, you have to have copyrights and, give writers credits. But that happens all the time, right?
Yeah. But one of the things that happened when this virus happened a couple of years ago was all the DJs started just playing music on
Right.
all the platforms. You guys know all this. I forgot what they called a lot of them, but we talked about it earlier in the show. You're taking somebody else's content and you're playing it for your own. These people live off of this music. They get
Right.
royalties, and going through all of these social medias where they don't get paid. You got a million views, but you ain't got a dime
Right.
from
Right.
it.
Right.
So that's why your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your YouTubes came down hard, because the royalty companies, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, they were getting on the platforms.
Right. They were charging Facebook for the music.
Yeah. Facebook don't want to play on their, because you're playing on their free platform.
Right.
DMCA, I think it is.
Yes.
Digital Media Copyrights Act or something like that.
Yes. And that started from way back in a day in like 1991, because when sampling started, it ran rampant through the hip hop
It did.
community,
It did.
and they didn't know how to act. So
That's
in
right.
1991,
What do we do with this?
they did that. And the big name, we all know Biz Markie. He was the biggest name that they went after first
Right.
to make a point.
Well,
So
that is how the music was actually made at the time, Harry. Like
Yeah.
most of them didn't know how to play instruments, so they actually
Correct.
sampled actual albums to make the
Right.
song, or to make the instrumental part of the songs. And of course, they didn't give writing credits to the people
Correct.
they stole it from.
And that was the problem. They didn't give proper credit to whoever created that original music, but you're using my music. I don't care if it's a half second, if it's a loop of something, it's still the owner's property.
That's right. That's right. And so let me ask this question. And Joe, I want to ask you this, Joe. As you are building your company with live streaming,
Yes.
as you're talking and you're bringing on new clients and you're helping them through, how do you guide them through how they build their content to be sure that they cover themselves from intellectual properties? Do you guys talk about how they come up with ideas and concepts, and if they ever need to copyright anything?
Yeah, we do. One of the reasons why we have organizational change as one of our business services is so that we can understand the people, systems, and processes, the structure within the organization, whether it's a business, a charity, a sports club, or whatever. Once we understand that, because we have to look about our ethics as well and our
Right.
reputations. And actually, I don't want to be working with some people. Yeah, hey, I'm just an old fart now who's getting more grumpy by the day because it's an age thing. But seriously, there's some people in this world that I just don't want to be working with.
Yeah.
So we look at that in a dual process very quickly. And that is to understand that, we like these people. We like what they're about. And also to understand what they do, how they do it, where, when, why, all that good stuff there. Live streaming is part of the trilogy of engagement along with the social media strategy and the marketing strategy. When we go through that, you then see quickly whether they steal stuff, whether they misappropriate stuff. And so therefore, all of those things, again, the first thing I tell people is that I get them into the studio. Very first thing I do is because I want to see the whites of people's eyes. I want to understand them. I want to be working with people for the next 15, 20 years. Not just I'll do this live streaming for you, or I bugger off, give me some money, and then I'll come back to me when you need me. That's not what we're about.
Okay.
It's about building thriving communities. And to do that, you've got to have that fundamental ethics as your foundation to begin with. So we lay that out very openly. When you go to our new site that is live now, the reason we promote all the other live streamers and all the other people we're working with is so that it's the same. We promote everybody we're working with, whether we class them as internally, if you like, or external clients. We want to be sorry, forgive me. I've got this word in my head and I can't get it out. We want to be an extension of that organization. We want the organization to be an extension for us, and that builds, and that truth, and that openness, and that trust you build together. First of all, so by doing that, I think you can get away with you can filter out very, very quickly the sort of people who would misappropriate. And I feel sorry for the likes of your good lady bride, DJ Strick, and for Harry, because it's a minefield. I mean, I get incandescent. That's another age-related thing. When I see these things on TikTok or Instagram, and there's I don't even want to use the word in public. What is that? That's not art. That's not even misappropriation. That's just bloody sheer laziness.
Right.
So I think when you adopt a more holistic approach to the way you do things, that it shouldn't even be a consideration. I'll come back. Ask me again later about there's 3 types of live streamers, and that's a problem. So how do you regulate it? But I think we could probably come back to that because there's a wider thing there without taking you down the road.
So this is what I do want to ask you. Like, what are some of the practices? And I'm going to get around to everybody with this question. But what are some of the processes that you would put in place when it comes to sensitive topics online? Because we're talking about ethics. So, YouTube, you have to be very careful about some of the topics that you talk about. I mean, we're worldwide right now as far as there's certain places that it's controversial what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's controversial what's happening with Russia. And I haven't really heard much about what's going on with them in their war right now. I haven't heard about that recently, but I'm sure they're still in a war. Or any other serious topics that you could talk about, or a sensitive topic that you can talk about. How do you help some of your customers through that?
We're fortunate in a lot of ways that we won't touch it.
Gotcha.
We wouldn't touch organizations like that. And for some people, that would be a cop-out. For me, we're providing live streaming as a service to elevate somebody's brand, to build that thriving community for them, to elevate their brand, to do brand storytelling, to live streaming strategy, to get them to a place to engage and collaborate, and get their message out to the current and future fans, followers, clients, because it's all about sales at the end of the day. But it's building a nice, warm, safe community is what you want to do. So me personally, I'm fortunate that it does come back to this three things of live streaming. Live streaming by 2027 is going to be worth about 250 billion, but there's three forms. There is, live streaming like Facebook Live and Periscope and, OTT, over the top live streamers. And then you've got these, they're not even live streamers, they're these clowns that live stream at some riot or on YouTube or on TikTok or something like that. They're not live streamers, but they're called live streamers. And then you've got professional live streamers like us who provide live streaming as a service, live streaming strategy. So for an awful lot of those things, we don't even engage with them. It doesn't matter what the industry is. We just don't allow topics like that because they don't need to come into it as far as we're concerned.
Right.
I got that. So let me hear what you guys say about that, Matt. You have a client, they are wanting to talk to or have sensitive material that they want to talk about. How do you coach them through that?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to platform, right? So I am a big proponent of, hey, if you feel like you've got something that you want to say, I think you need to take advantage of the opportunity to say it. But understand, just like anything else, whether you're live streaming or whether you're in the supermarket and having a conversation with another individual, there's a time and place for everything.
Right.
And so understanding the time and the place, the platform and the audience are just as equally important as the message that you have to say. And so that would be something that I would probably have a conversation with somebody about if it was even remotely questionable in terms of the type of content that they were trying to put out or the type of messages that they were trying to spread. So that's really what it boils down to is like, hey, time and place. And again, that's kind of what fits of OneStream is you have the capability of basically building your own private streaming platform, where you can make it password protected, where people have to put in some sort of password or they can pay a membership fee to be able to get access to those. So that the people that are actually coming to see what you're putting out are people that have a genuine desire to be there and also have paid for the rights to do so. And you're not necessarily spreading something to somebody that maybe doesn't align with your message or doesn't agree or maybe finds your message a little too controversial or what have you. I live in Kentucky, right? And and I won't get too far into it, but we have a fair bit of Second Amendment folks here that, businesses, gun stores, pawn shops, things of that sort. And everybody here is very pro Second Amendment, which is perfectly fine. That is their absolute right to do so.
Right.
There are certain things that I would not recommend that they do and certain platforms that I would not recommend that they stream on or that they advertise on. And that's simply just based on the audience and the platform itself. So,
gotcha.
That's all the stuff it boils down to is time and place and content and audience, platform and audience. So,
yep.
So, Harry, I hear you chiming in here. Yeah. You feel the same?
One of the things, and we're pretty much all are going to say something similar about those special topics. Now, I do a lot of interviews on my other shows, and the one thing I do is prior to getting on the interview, I actually talk to the interviewee to ask if anything is off key, or it is.
Off limits.
I get that. You got me going. Do what you doing, Joe.
I'm gonna find this word in a minute.
I'm gonna find the word, but
Sorry.
it. I have these conversations with them because I want to know where they're coming from, because
Right.
they sometimes you do get into a little touchy thing. I don't touch anything news. I don't watch the news, so I don't know a lot about what's going on. But a lot of people do, and they start touching on things, and I do my best to veer them away from whatever conversation they're getting ready to spark up, because they might think that it's relevant for whatever. But all of these shows, including this is long term. This is
Right.
not just right now.
Right. It's meant to be evergreen. You're correct.
Correct.
So people can come back and say, okay, what were they talking about in 2024 about live streaming and the ethics behind it, which is a
Yeah.
big deal. Like, we all need to know what it is. And that being said, I want to say hello to AP, who said shalom. We sensed that. And he also asked about when's the mobile app coming. It's supposed to be
man.
here. They're still working on it. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It's coming. It's coming.
Hey,
And then
DJ,
yes.
real quick, I want to kind of jump on something that Harry said, because he said something and it reminded me of a piece of advice that I had watched, and I actually got it from a friendly acquaintance who actually does some podcast coaching, and he said one of the best questions you can ask a potential interviewee or a guest on your show is not just what kinds of topics are off limits per se, but also, like, all of the things aside, just personally, like, how are they doing? Are they doing okay? Are they in a good headspace to have the conversation that you're planning on having? Because sometimes things happen and they've got this thing in the back of their mind, and it's like, hey, look, if there's anything you want to talk about off the record before we get started that you just need to just vent or clear the air or whatever, like, let's do that now, or whatever you got to do to clear your head and get your head right for this particular moment, so that something that they wouldn't necessarily want saved forever on the for posterity's sake on the internets, on the interwebs,
Right.
forever, to come back and haunt them down the road just for a brief moment or a momentary lack of judgment or self-control.
Right.
So, hey, Eric, I want to ask you this question. About a week ago now, maybe 2 weeks or a week and a half ago, Cat Williams, comedian, went on to Club Shay Shay, and it really exploded on the internet as far as the interview that Shannon Sharpe had with Cat Williams, the comedian. Now, it was Shannon's show, but Cat Williams really stole the show. And to be honest with you, I don't think that Shannon Sharpe would have went that direction if Cat Williams, with his questions or anything. Cat wanted to say some things. He wanted to be very aggressive, and he said some things. And of course, they're now 50 million plus or something like that, as far as views of this particular show. But it didn't all the way around reflect the type of show that Shannon has had in the past, because, it's a sports show. He also interviews comedians, but it's a family type show that wasn't a family type show that day. What do you think from the ethics behind bringing on a guest that could take your show? Now, like I said, millions of people have viewed it, but that's a one of. What do you think about that?
So my mama says people are going to talk about you, good or bad, no matter what. And Kat did say we are in the age of the internet. If anything I am not saying isn't true, find it on the internet, call me out. He says, I know my receipts are correct. He says, I'm
Wow.
only telling you things that I've been a part of. So, and he did say, if you don't want your business out in the street, don't come tell me, because I'm going to tell everybody.
Wow.
He did say
Wow.
that. He did make a couple of predictions on Club Shay Shay. He said that the views would be above 25 million. And as you said, there are over 50 million now. He said more people are going to want to come to the show because that will be a place where you can speak your own truth.
Okay.
A safe place.
Yeah, that's it. Harry knows.
I did hear him say that at the very beginning. You've created a very, very safe space where people can come and just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shannon, he let him speak his piece. He asked his questions, but he was also just immersed in what Kat was telling.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
like that he gave him that leeway.
That is funny. I know some of the comedians that he talked about, and it's like, okay, man, like you go pretty hard on some people that just trying to make a living. But I also believe, and Joe, you'll probably agree with this, any press, good or bad, is still good press. Like you still, when someone says something good about you or something bad about you, they're still talking about you. Joe, when you have your clients, okay, and they have a live stream and they're doing live streams, how do you coach them on them having like a moderator? Like, how do you help them through that process just in case as they are doing it and growing, trolls are going to be out there. How do you teach them how to handle that?
One of the things is because I think in the power of OneStream Live and professional platforms like that means that you can control it. I've had it on some of our shows before where we've, especially through YouTube, was dreadful about a year or so back, and there was bots just coming in, and at first I'd get a little bit bent out of shape, and then but you've got the power to delete and block, and because it's a bot, sometimes it just replicates on a different number or whatever.
Right.
And then in the end, I made a joke about it and said, "Look, even the bots love you, peoples." And as we blocked them, and then they buggered off. They went, and it went. So I think sometimes it's not what happens; it's how we deal with it.
Right.
I think it is fair to say that you in States. No, I'm not going to be careful what I say here because there's nothing contentious about it. You have more things going on in the States than we would probably have in the UK and Ireland and lots of places in Europe that are more contentious in many ways currently. That is just the nature of, I think, the setup within the country itself, where you've got federal and state and this and that, and it just, as an outsider, it just lends itself to just sparking up a bit of trouble just for at the slightest thing. And I'm like, life's complicated enough, lads. Would you catch yourselves on and just have a bit of a team approach? Do you know what I mean? So I think when there are trolls out there, a lot of the time it's best to ignore them, and then. I notice on platforms now, Facebook are doing the same now, where they're hiding content. Although half the content they hide is not, I think it's a word or something.
Yeah.
So there's no. The problem with automation is there's no right simple solution. But if you're controlling it, I think if you can control your interviewee and you have the right approach when you're putting your show out, then the people that you're going to attract, they're going to have different opinions. Sometimes there'll be some strongly worded replies going in there, but you're attracting the right type of people, be it public. Oral, I did love what you guys had covered there about actually if you've got some contentious issues within a grouping or a club or whatever, you go behind a paywall where it creates its own safe space. And I'm a huge fan of creating that safe space. That's what we try to do in a public show. We try to make it fun and safe, and this is the level. And there are certain things that we just won't cover, even if it's sport or whatever, for those reasons. Because, listen, I'm not going to sell as many shows. I'm not going to make as much money as somebody who put something mega contentious out. But you know what? I'm comfortable with that because that sets the tone from me, from the organization that I head up, and the type of show that we're trying to put out, and the type of help and support that we're trying to give to organizations.
So this is the question, and I'll give this to you, Harry, because I want to hear what you have to say. But I also want to shout out Domino here, who's hanging out with us, and he's always coming through and saying hello. So we want to tell you thank you for hanging out with us today on the
Domino
show. It's good to
Entertainment.
see you. Yeah, it's good to see you. And I want to be sure I don't miss anybody else. I know Matt has something to say. And this is kind of goes into my question I want to ask Harry. You have somebody that comes on your show, somebody like Cat Williams, and they say, hey, man, like when I'm done, I may say some things that are very controversial, and you may not even believe in some of the things that I'm saying, but you're going to get 50 million views from me. Like from you as a content creator, what do you think, like from your perspective, would you accept it?
That's hard. That's hard to answer because I don't think that was in Shannon Sharpe's mind when he said that, when he set the show up. I don't even think he knew, because prior to that, his highest show, because I went back and looked, his
Steve Harvey show.
Yeah, it was one of them. It was either Steve Harvey or somebody else, which had close to, if not over 3 million views. But you're talking about over time, 3 million views, not in the first few days where he had almost 25 million in the first couple of days.
I think within a couple of hours it was over 5 million. Like it just shot. It was a rocket. I mean, I knew when I saw it, I wanted to stop and see it. Let me add another caveat to this, and I'll have you guys chime in too. This is not about the ethics of it, but this is how things happen, and you have to be very thoughtful about what you do as a content creator. There's another content creator out there. His name is Willie D. Willie D is the third member of the Ghetto Boys from the early 90s as a rap group. He has a show that he does, and he actually interviewed Cat Williams first and sat on the interview. For whatever reason, he was holding the release of his interview with Cat Williams, and Shannon Sharpe got out there first. So Willie D's looks like it was a second interview with Cat Williams, but actually it was the first interview.
It was the first one.
So when it comes to building content, the importance of, taking the opportunity that you're given, because his show still did well. It did in the millions, probably one of his best shows, but it didn't do 50 million.
Right.
All right. So Matt, I want to ask you about that. Like, what do you think hearing how that could happen on the back end where the content creator is basically holding on to, for whatever reason, holding on to a great interview, and then that person goes somewhere else and it kind of explodes?
So it depends on the motive of the content creator. So let's say, for instance, I did an interview with Cat Williams, right? And I knew that he was going to eventually, like, he had this thing, maybe in our pregame or our pre-show or our post-show conversation, kind of like we have in our green room before and after the show. He had mentioned he was getting ready to go on, the Clubhouse with Shay Shay or whatever, and he was going to be doing an interview. Maybe it was with him, with Shannon Sharpe, or maybe it was with Pat McAfee or somebody else that's pretty big name out there, right? I might sit on that interview and then use the momentum from the original interview as a piggyback to my interview, because ultimately, especially in the digital realm these days, the most valuable thing that you can get from any one person is their attention.
Right.
Right. So if you are a small creator, and I'm not saying Willie D is a small creator, but I would say by comparison to Shannon Sharp, he probably is a small
Right.
creator.
Just a little smaller. Yes.
Right. And so by using that interview, if he let's use the previous scenario.
And it was a terrible interview as well. I watched it. I was so bored.
Oh, really?
So, bored.
So it wasn't even interesting.
It wasn't. It wasn't as long. He had some different questions, and he's not an interview person. He's not a journalist.
Gotcha.
At least Shannon Sharp has been doing it well enough to ask good questions, to be able to lead into some things. And Kat was more animated on Shannon Sharp's show.
Well, some of that does come with experience. I think knowing, I guess, following the conversation and knowing which questions to follow up on.
Right.
Kind of like you do on yours, and I've seen Harry do on his, which is when you're talking with somebody and the conversation is flowing normally and naturally, there's going to be parts of the conversation where it's like, oh, I got to keep that in the back of my mind as a follow-up because I want to get more information about that.
Right.
Maybe not so much for you, but that's something that your audience would have interest in. And so because these people are giving you the most valuable thing that they have to give you in a digital realm, which is their attention, you want to make sure that you keep that attention for as long as you possibly can.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's the name of the game. And I hate to say that in that way, but that absolutely is what it boils down to. Is the whole goal in the digital realm is to keep the attention of your audience for as long as you possibly can.
So let me ask you this question. Let's go here. Comments. So not all press is good press, but all press creates attention, and we're talking about attention. And attention is one of the most difficult things to get from anyone. So it's right in line with what you're saying.
Right.
So thank you for the comment, because, I guess on my end, I have just made it so simple to say all press is good press. And that's just from being in the media for a very long time.
Essentially, it gets you the same thing, right? Attention is attention.
But people like negative comments go a whole lot further than positive comments do. So in my mind, one of the things that Cat Williams did, he went directly at a couple of comedians. Mm-hmm. Okay, called them out by name, told them they wasn't good, or said they wasn't good comedians, that they can't act, they can't do this, they can't do that. And in my mind, this thing is getting 50 million views, regardless of what he said they couldn't do. These are people that have Netflix specials, they have movies. So everybody is now going to watch their specials, to watch their movies. And even though what he said was negative, it can still help them in a positive light.
Every single one of those, right?
None of them, when those comedians came out and they did their rebuttals, none of them said he was wrong. Not one of them.
No, not a single one actually rebutted him. They just, they weren't saying that he lied or that he told any false truths or anything like that. Every single one of them. But you're right, though. I think the point is, and it kind of ties into what I said earlier, is that every single one of them now I bet you if you look on Google for the last 48, 72 hours, every single one of those names that was listed in that special, basically for the last week, since that's
be in the Google Trends, right?
They're going to be in the Google Trends, right? And as Domino said, none of them said thank you for the attention. But the fact is that every single one of them probably got an uptick in their streams.
I agree.
Ice Cube said thank you.
Could it have been contrived?
Well,
I don't think so. I don't think so, because he has said some negative things about these people before. Well, I think, Joe, you make a good point, Joe. Let me say this, Joe. You make a good point. Because
nowadays you literally don't know what is right, and I get the whole point that actually adverse comments and adverse topic areas will sell a whole lot more than just wholesome stuff, without a shadow. At the end of the day, But
So let me
you
give you
put it
another
when you-
scenario, Joe. Let me give you another scenario.
Yes, sir.
I think it was the Oscars, the Will Smith and Chris
Yeah.
Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have heard about Will Smith coming onto the stage and slapping a comedian.
I
Okay.
did.
So, and I'm bringing this up because this is, with Will Smith, is international news that this happened. Chris Rock had a tour that was going on. Guess what, Joe? He wasn't selling well.
Ah, right.
After
Okay.
the slap, he sold out his whole tour because
His
people
whole
wanted to
tour,
hear
yep.
what he had to say.
There
Now,
you
he
go.
had to take one for the team with the slap, but it actually made him more money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that, and to be honest, even to this day, I'm still not wholly convinced that that thing was real at all.
I'm not convinced, Joe, that it was real either. To be honest with you, I just don't think that. I think that it was contrived. I think that it was planned. There has been a movie that was released that had the same type of writing to it. As far as it was the same thing. I forgot where they got it from, but that was released. I think that the people that were running the Oscars that year were new to it and they wanted to make a name for themselves. And it was the highest rated show ever. All of that happened out of that.
Can I ask you a question, Strick?
Yes.
To the panel, really. we're in a period now where things have changed, and the world watches millions and millions over and over of these type of things because it sells. Negativity sells. God forbid, seeing somebody shot or injured or something sells. The only positive side is seeing a little cat with a ball of wool. That sells as well, but it's not selling as well as some of the negative things.
Right.
Back in 1977, there was a band called the Sex Pistols. And I know they came to your good country as well, caused a bit of a riot. But I was heavily into them. I was only 13, 14 years of age.
What was the group again?
Sex Pistols.
Okay.
They were a punk rock band. I had a big memory back in the days then. And there was a big interviewer. This is on YouTube. There was a big interviewer back in the day called Bill Grundy. And Bill Grundy had a show and the Pistols were on. And right at the end, he said to them, "Say, you've got 20 seconds left, lads. Say something, rotten." And they used a couple of expletives. There was nothing. Oh, there's nothing. He lost his career overnight. I mean, it just went. But my point is, that was only 77. We're now 2024. What is acceptable now? What is people looking for? There are big media companies who don't give a monkey's rat's backside about, as long as they sell. And I get that. And everything Matt has said, I fully get. For me, that's not the type of game I'm into. And I don't necessarily want to be. We have contentious issues. I go back a little bit more. We do have some contentious issues on all of the shows that we do. If it's pertinent to the individual or the product or service or part of the brand story that's being told, for example, we've got two girls. They're married to each other. One's South African, one's Irish. They're both involved in rugby. They run a South African snack food and meat company up in Northern Ireland. The whole thing about the trans issues and LGBTQ plus, it's nothing in our go back to it's nothing in Europe in comparison. I think there's some things within the States, etc., but it's still contentious. But it's how you manage that. You can still talk about those things because that's part of their life. That's part of humanizing them as people. So people then get to that know, like, trust scenario. But I don't know where we're going to be in 5 years' time. And I'm not sure you can regulate. This comes down to the crux of the show for me. I don't think you can regulate fully live streaming because there are different component parts. How do you regulate these clowns who are doing stuff if the people at the top are manipulating and doing what they're doing? And I have an issue with that.
Good stuff. So every year it changes. Can y'all help me with the pronunciation of this name? On the banner?
I can say Media Group.
Yeah, I think
Go Harder Media Group.
Okay.
Go Harder.
more and more is becoming socially acceptable. So more things over time,
Yeah.
just like what you're saying, Joe. Um, and that's a big deal. You have to have, each of us have to have our own personal integrity behind what we do. My personal integrity behind what I'm doing is that I love to be able to share the knowledge about live streaming, the knowledge about the Streamers Hub, OneStream Live, what you're able to do with this platform. I want to be able to kind of share and help people learn how to do this. I don't have to be controversial, but there are people that would use the same software to actually gain a much larger audience if they were more controversial. If I was harder on how to do this and you got to do it my way, and we only use this camera, we only use that mic, and if I was really, really rigid with what I was doing, I think it could be controversial because people would say, hey, I would say you can use any camera you want.
Right.
But there are some people that are, you got to do this, you got to do that, even in content creation. And guess what? They can be very polarizing, which 50% don't like them, 50% do. But guess what? Both the groups will watch.
They're all watching.
They're all watching. I'm just not that kind of person. So last question for the night. If you're in a live stream, all right, live streaming, and there is a challenge that comes up, how do you resolve it live? Just so happens, we get to arguing on a show. Like there's a real argument on different places because we chose, just like Joe said, we chose a topic that, you can be on one side or you could be on the other, and there's arguing going on. What is the best way? And Erica, I'll start with you. What is the best way in a live stream to be able to handle a challenge when that happens?
This happened to me, and I didn't realize it was an argument. Turns out there's something between cultures that me just being here in South Carolina, my own little world, I didn't realize it was an argument. It was too many please and thank yous for me to realize that this was a full-blown argument, and I just let it play out.
Wow.
No clue. Straight over my head. But
Wow.
later people had to tell me that was an argument, and they were really upset about it. And I'm like, with all the please and thank yous? It's like, yes.
Mhm.
So I had to talk to them individually after, but I had no clue.
Well, you say you worked it out. That bullet missed you that day because apparently it wasn't that bad. If they were apologizing, it probably
Yeah.
wasn't as stressful. Like,
I
what
didn't
about?
know. They were really actually very upset with each other.
That's Southern thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you know what? One guy was let's see, in Canada, and another guy was in California, and they were saying that could I step in, please? Could you let me have just a little bit of time, please? And it's like, sure, thank you, and all of this other stuff. And I did not know that was an argument,
Wow.
because if it was for me, if it was an argument, they would be yelling and there would be no please and thank yous. But apparently people have different kinds of arguments in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something. How about you, Matt? How would you handle a situation like that?
Well, I think it's tough because I can get very not heated, but I can get very passionate about certain things.
Let's just use the right word, right? So you got some guys. You have a show, right? For me, are you still doing the podcast?
Yep, getting ready to relaunch. So yeah.
So there's a topic.
That's that military headstrong.
Right. I have passion. Like,
yes, sir. I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Sir. So you got the show coming, and you got two guys that, you were thinking that, maybe they would get along, and they don't get along, and they get to arguing on the show, and their passions get the best of them. What do you think some of the best practices would be for that situation?
I think ultimately, at least for me, the key is I don't necessarily have to agree with what either one is having to say, but if I'm in the position of being the host and the so-called, or I guess the de facto mediator of the conversation.
Right.
My biggest role in that particular instance is to make it very clear and remind both parties or all parties involved that every single person has a right to feel and express those feelings. And that doesn't make the other person wrong, and it doesn't invalidate the other person's feelings or thoughts. It just means that they don't see eye to eye on it. And it's perfectly okay that they don't. We can agree to disagree, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But trying to bring it back to the center of it all, I think that becomes the responsibility of somebody in my, if I was in that position, that would become my responsibility in that particular situation.
I think so. Harry, what do you think?
I think
you got two DJs arguing about
I know.
the beat. Who wrote it? No, so-and-so wrote it. No, so-and-so wrote that. I was there when they wrote it.
I was in this.
I think it depends on what is going on, because I'm a diffuser. Okay. I will attempt to veer towards something else that's more smile friendly.
Gotcha.
If that doesn't happen, and I am the producer of this show,
right,
they're going to have technical difficulties in a few seconds.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because this is my blinking show.
Right. So on a show like yours, Harry, let me ask you a question. How far would you let two guys argue knowing that this could be good content?
That's a hard question to ask, because it's just 99% of the time, it's just me and somebody else. Gotcha. There's never a group like we are.
Right. And you're not going to have somebody arguing with you for a long period of time, right?
They will have technical difficulties in a few seconds.
I love it. Joe, now you're having to kind of coach people through this. You got you have a client that's what they want to do. They want to have opposite minds come to their show, and they want to interview someone on one side and someone on the other side. What do?
Well, again, I love the whole aspect of technical difficulties, and I think that I've used that in the past. One of the things that, if you know that things can get a little bit debatable, heated, on the subject of what it is, and it can be in anything, because there's a bit thing there, whether it's sport or whether it's whatever the case may be. If you know that's likely to come, then again, it goes back to what you said at the very beginning: how do we deal with people? Well, you set out the guidelines at the very beginning of the show before you even go live, and then you're just monitoring it going through. I've got somebody in. If I'm hosting, then generally I like to try and have somebody who's producing, directing, so they're putting all of the banners up and they're putting all the messages up, and they can control stuff, and they'll be briefed. If it starts getting a little bit out of hand, then we'll try and defuse it and bring people back down again, use a little bit of fun to diffuse the situation, and so before the show, as it's building, you're monitoring, you're moderating at every stage that you're going through. But again, for me, it comes back to the very beginning. The type of client and guests that you're going to have on, most of the stuff isn't going to really be that contentious. But if it ever gets to the point where somebody just doesn't stop, then you just drop them out into the green room and say, because it's one of the best things in the world.
They're going to have technical difficulties.
They're going to have technical difficulties. And listen, we'll do our best to get Big Joe back as soon as we can. He's always got some great things to say. Shut up, get out.
Right.
and then you're messaging him on the chat saying, you're going to calm down, big boy, and come back in. So I think there's levels that you can do to get to there. But ultimately, in a studio like this, even if you've got 10 people in it and it's getting a bit heated, you drop them, you mute them. It's absolutely
I love
technical
it.
difficulties.
Technical difficulty.
I'm going to write that down, use it, and then credit Harry the Big Dog.
Harry, that
you
should be a
go.
T-shirt.
Yeah, for real. And a mug.
So know that
He's having technical difficulties.
right. Know that if it's your show, you have the control.
Mm-hmm.
The best practice is understanding where you are, if it's your brand or not. So if it's getting heated, can your brand survive the content? All right, does it work with your brand? If it doesn't work with your brand and they are way off topic and arguing about something and it's not what you want to present as your content, you got the control. Harry has already said it. Don't allow it, because you're live, to feel like you're going to embarrass them if you take control.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would rather embarrass a guest that is unruly than allow my live stream to go a direction that's not my brand. And
Correct.
that's me personally. That's just how I would do it. But you want to understand, and I do feel like people arguing online, depending on how heated it gets, is not the worst thing that happens. But it depends on what type show you have. I don't know if we'll have an argument on the Streamers Hub about content creation or how to use, well, you get 6 team members. No, you get 4 team members on the pro plan. No, you get 9. Like, we're not going to argue about that. We're going to go to the section and see what the features are.
Exactly.
It's simple.
I don't even know how we
Somebody will
can
fact
argue
check.
on this show.
I mean, it would take. I've had, to be honest with you, I have some content creators that I work with. If they were on a show like this, they would take the show over, just in over talking. If you're not a good host, like, my job is to kind of moderate and host and ask questions to get everybody on the panel equal time, equal opportunity to be able to speak. But I've seen content creators come on a show, be a panelist, and take the whole show over. And that's difficult if you don't have a good. It's rude, but they don't care.
It's rude, but not hard to do, because
Right.
I've done it a couple of times, not intentionally, because I'm an interviewer. So it just starts to naturally come out, and then it's got to be like, oh, okay, this is not my show, okay. And then I'm
You had to reel it
sitting
in.
now like this with my head.
I know I'm guilty of it too, because I'm just like, hey.
Sure.
So I have to
I mean,
know.
if I'm interested, I'm just nosy. I have to know things.
But that's what, to be honest with you, if you are live streaming, it is not, and you're a guest on somebody's show, it is not the time to be an introvert. Okay?
Yes.
It is
Yes.
not the time
No.
for you to be introspective. It's a time for you to give. It's a time for you to talk. It's a time for you to communicate, and you have to come out of your shell and do it. And if it's a panel like this, you just have to take it. Like, when it's your turn to act, you just take it and go, 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 go. It's the moderator's job or the host job to be able to keep the round robin going so that
Yes.
everybody gets something out of it. But as a host, I also know when I have a good guest. I also know when I have a good contributor. I also know when that person is answering a question right or answering how I would answer it. And guess what? Sometimes it's just a human thing. You could go to that person more than others. Now, in this case, you guys are all the bomb. I love it 100%. And I want to say this because I don't want to do this whole show without shouting out Rachel Hall, that is a part of the panel. We missed her tonight. She has some obligations with her children, and family comes first, but we still miss you and can't wait to do a show with you on the panel again, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
We have so much to do. And I think tonight, guys, we've done a great job of helping someone that if they've come to the show tonight and they were wondering about the ethical part of content creation, they got the information. I would be also wanting you to do all of your research. about your copyright that you would have and copyright infringement that you could possibly be on based on some of the things that you do in your show. You want to be aware of that, and you want to do your research about that. Any final words from you guys? Okay, Erica, you're up first with a final word. I know you have one.
Yeah. So this is my personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. I learned that the hard way while uploading to YouTube. YouTube is not my platform. I am on somebody else's land. I am building my house on somebody else's land. And when they tell you no, you got to move on. Way to
Right.
get around that. This is my personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. So that's it.
Hold on, like you lost me with that. Like if you're saying you're on borrowed land, you're on their land, how do you get to your own land? Or you're saying this is for entertainment purposes only? Is just like to cover yourself if anything happens?
That's right. So I often go on a rant. I was talking about our nation's military, the organizations that shall not be named, and then
Thank
our
you.
U.S. Constitution.
Okay.
So YouTube says don't talk about them, and I'm like, oh, okay. And they flagged me, and they told me, they made me go to this little course, and now I know that I can say that this is my personal opinion, or this is for entertainment purposes only.
Gotcha.
Wow, I didn't
Wow,
know.
wow, wow.
That is a
Okay.
whole nother thing that we did not talk about tonight.
Yeah.
That
Uh,
might have to be a green room conversation.
yeah.
We're
So
on there, mama.
so there is some type of control from YouTube. Some censorship, how I say it that way.
Yeah.
Some censorship from YouTube and all of the platforms. And if you do a lot, not only will they flag you, but the FBI will be looking at you as well.
Mm.
So you want to be careful. Okay, my man Joe, any final words about what we talked about tonight?
Yeah, you're in control. That's it. You're in control of your own destiny, what you're doing. You build your foundations, you pick the people that you want to work with for me, and you build relationships with them, and you build that understanding, that trust. So by the time you get to doing the actual show, it doesn't really matter. They know what your stance is, you know what theirs is, and you know what's the level of acceptability. And that's your brand and their brand. But when you're doing it together, it's a trust. You build that trust together and over a long period of time.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Harry.
Yes. Next up, what I would say is understand where you are, what platform you're on, and abide by the rules. I don't, I don't, I don't go through anything that we talked about on this show because I kind of follow the rules. I am not that controversial person. I don't even say foul language. I do it offline, but while I'm online, I don't do it because I think YouTube is one of them. In the first few minutes, if you're foul language in a lot of things, they'll cut you off or want to flag you or give you a strike, whatever they call it on that platform. So just
Right.
don't do it. Again, realize how good you are.
I love it. I love it. That's good. That's good. All right, Matt.
Very nice. I think, gosh, just overall, if you have to think twice about something that you're going to post, it's probably not a good idea to post it.
I like that.
if we're talking about like ethics and all that kind of stuff, like if you have to second guess yourself, it's like, is this really a good idea? Is this really the right platform? Is this really the right audience?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. With that being said, we all learn by making mistakes, right? So get out there and make mistakes. Get out there and do the thing. Okay. 2024 for me is the year of the 1%er. That's learning 1% more than I knew yesterday, being 1% better than I was yesterday, growing 1% more than I had yesterday, all those types of things. So be that, do the thing, go live. If that's what you want to do, find your niche and go live and just learn by doing. But again, do it the right way, do it ethically. And if you have to think twice, probably not the right place to do it.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Thank you, man. Listen, guys, you want to be sure that whatever platform you're using, Harry has said it, you want to know the policies there. You want to know the rules there. You want to understand that. So you might want to look at some of the guidelines for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, X, and Instagram.
Twitch,
Twitch. There you go. You want to know what some of those rules are, and you want to abide by them. You want to be sure that if there is content from other creators, that you are using it with consent, or at least saying this is the creator that I got this from. Give them some, allow them to be known as well. Just don't take it in like it's your content because you're pointing up at it. Okay. And be professional. Be professional in what you're doing online. Even if you are doing something very casual, if you're doing something to reach a younger audience, you still can be professional about it and be cool all at the same time. What we're trying to do on the Streamers Hub tonight with the panel is just open these topics up, discuss them together, that you could begin to think about the content you create and how you can make it better. All right. So always be thinking about how can I improve? And some of those improvements are staying inside the guidelines on those platforms so you don't get a strike. Okay. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me tonight. You guys make the show so much better when you come on. Like, we should do this so much more often.
Oh, I wish.
Every day.
Yeah,
Every day.
Yeah, we should do this more often. Like, this is
maybe once a week.
Joe would be tired.
You'll be like, oh, my new full-time job is overnights.
Right. So I'm not going to hold you anymore, guys. And the way we have it now at the end of the show, it is really the end of the show. So we'll be talking in the chat with one another. I'll definitely let you know when some things come up that may be different. And I'll give you more lead time on the Streamers Hub for Monday in February. Even if we're doing it, I may be off that day. But anyways, I'll tell you all about it, man. All right, I'll see you.
Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I've had an awesome time with you today. Thank you for watching another edition of the Streamers Hub right here on OneStream Live.